Lesson 10, Mind Mapping and Linear Mapping. The benefits, well, these maps are really ways of getting ideas down on paper or onto the screen. Very often people use pen and paper. There is software available, of course, particularly for mind mapping, some of it free, some of it premium, but it's all quite good and worth exploring. I personally prefer to use pen and paper or a stylus on a touch sensitive screen. One or the other is best, but these maps are just ways to make your ideas explicit and to plan. So more on that in a minute. The benefits, of course, if you can get ideas down quickly, you'll save time, you'll improve the quality of your ideas, and really mind mapping in particular works very well as a memory technique. So more on that in a minute. Now let's have a look at mind mapping. So here's an example of a quick mind map. In the center I've drawn a picture, a prism with a face, and that's because I think of ideas in a kind of geometrical way that maps onto human nature. So that's just a quirk of the way I see ideas, if you like. And then in this map I've explored ideas about mind mapping within a mind map. So first of all, what is mind mapping? It's a way of drawing associations between ideas. So I've got the word associations. You can get links between ideas down fast. It's very easy, and that tends to help your memory because this is the way the brain works. If you think back to your school, you'll immediately find associations with the building, with friends, with things that went well and badly at that school. All those things are linked in your mind. So as you think back to the school, you might think about a sport, you might think about equipment and so on. The memory works in that linked and associative pattern, and the mind map is a fast and easy way to get those memories down. Now, mind mapping also helps creativity. You can use the little pictures and images as I've done. You may well be a better artist than me. You can use color for different subject areas within the mind map, and you can apply mapping to almost any area of knowledge you would wish. It's a very visual representation of ideas. I'll show you another one later in this course, and therefore it's an easy way to share ideas and then maybe build them with other people. So because mind maps are so graphical, they're easy to talk about, to share, and then to build over time. So mind mapping again is just a simple way of linking ideas on some subject areas. In this example, it's on mind mapping itself, and getting down the main concepts that are useful and relevant. Now, exercise 10.1, think of a relatively complex challenge you have to face and consider, and very quickly just draw a mind map of all the major issues you have in your mind regarding that challenge. So let's say you have a professional exam coming up. You could put a picture of an exam hall or you sitting down, what have you, in the center. You might then think about the command of the knowledge you require, the levels of stress, the time you have available. All those topics may be swirling around in your mind, so just get them down on paper, and then you can think about how to use those ideas later. It may well help you prepare for the exam, for example. So consider, does your diagram help you to better marshal and control your thoughts? What went well and what is most challenging about creating mind maps? And how can you improve in the future? So more on those subjects in a minute. So linear maps, mind maps, of course, make ideas explicit. It's a graphical representation, a kind of tree of related concepts, if you like. But linear maps is more like an essay plan. It's an ordered consideration of ideas. So it takes the order of concepts and the way in which they should be presented into account. Now, linear maps are very, very useful because as soon as you write a book or an essay or an article, or you present to an audience, you speak, order is important. The order, the chronology in which you present concepts is vital to eliciting comprehension on the part of the audience. So although mind maps are brilliant for getting related concepts down rapidly in a graphical and shareable format, to make those ideas useful, perhaps as a talk or an essay, an article, a blog, what have you, it's very useful then to take the mind map and create a linear map. So here's an example. So based on the mind map, the graphical representation we saw a couple of minutes ago, here is now a linear map. So we're talking about the subject of mind maps. These are a visual representation of your best thinking. They promote or they help building and sharing ideas. You might show an example of a mind map if this were a presentation about that subject. Mind maps work on associations in the mind. They're fast and they're easy to produce, and they operate a bit like the human memory. Mind maps promote creative thinking, because as you get ideas down, you'll tend to get new insights and see new connections. And that, of course, is one of the bases of creative and fresh insight. And of course, you can use creativity in the mind map itself by employing color and images, little sketches and so forth. Okay, exercise 10.2. Take your mind map from the prior exercise 10.1 and just create a short linear map, a bit like an essay plan, based on that original mind map. Consider, does the linear map help make more sense of your mind map? Does the linear map help in making your original ideas more useful? So, Chapter 10 summary. Do you appreciate that both mind and linear maps are powerful in eliciting, in recalling and creating and using ideas? Mind maps are better for that additional exploration, getting something down on paper. Mind maps are superb for those first thoughts and making the best of your memory. And then linear maps are a bit more useful in creating an ordered presentation, which has more application to things like giving a talk or creating a course or writing a blog and so forth. In the next lesson, we look at speed writing.